used to think time was my enemy. My future wasn't looking good. So worried about the things I couldn't see. I couldn't see the things I could. I was aging fearfully, worrying my life away, when all along I should have been thankful for every day. Finally made a friend of time. Now you could say that I'm aging gratefully. Aging gratefully.
Broadcasting from the rolling hills of the beautiful Tennessee Valley, from the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains, across this amazing nation and spanning the universe, you're listening to Aging Gratefully. I'm your host, gerontologist Holly Kelly, bringing you exceptional guests and novel information to ensure you age great, live full, and embrace each extraordinary day for the incredible gift it is. Remember that we broadcast on all your favorite players, brought to you all over the world. Greetings, most amazing listeners tuning in. How are you? I hope you're doing amazing, wonderful, fantastic. It makes me smile just thinking about all the ways you've been aging gratefully since we last gathered. Truly, all of your yesterdays since our last episode of making meaning, joyful purpose, making the most of your moments. But what I'd like to do is welcome you to today, because what a gift it is to be here, gathering together in the spirit of gratitude. And you know by now what that does. Yep. It makes me smile oh so big. So let's get our signature pose on and start that smiling spandemic like we do so well. Smiles across the miles, grin fest going. Because I call it self-care that is also shareable. So take in a great big feel good breath and know, that you are kicking your feel good endorphins into high gear and prompting those neuropeptides to do their magical stress relieving routine we love so much. Now that's how we start the Aging Gratefully Hour around here. Oh, it's so awesome. So it's true. I do hope your yesterdays have been amazing. Sometimes we look back on yesterday and we don't like what we see. Yesterday can hold many back from enjoying the here and now. Yesterday can have its grip on you, paralyze, and even to some feel like quicksand. And much of the work that I do, focusing on, of course, planning for the end and inspiring your grand new beginning, helping so many get their final affairs in order so they can live fully with peace of mind in the present. I really try to remind my clients how to make peace with yesterday, embrace it, send it packing, or set it free. It's pretty empowering to do so. I love the quote by Robert Brault. Life becomes easier when you learn to accept the apology you never got. We want life to become easier as we grow older. That's what aging gratefully is all about. Making the rest of the years the best of the years. Seriously, we want to embrace every wonderful, wacky, whimsical, weird, welcomed, warped, and even wild moments, come what may. But sometimes we're somewhere else, anywhere but now. The clock is still ticking. Our body is literally real time. Tick, tock, tick, tock, as the sand slips through the hourglass. But our mind, well, it may be back in 1965 with the Beatles. That is, yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. Now it looks as though they're here to stay. Oh, I believe in yesterday. Yesterday is wonderful in that we lived it, and we are here to tell our stories. We've grown from yesterday. All of us have learned so much from the experiences of yesterday. Yesterday is important. and that it doesn't define us, but in some way design the path of where we are today. But we get to decide who we are and how we are. Yesterday holds no claim over today unless we allow it. You see, the prefix yester is a rare one, and it means belonging to the day preceding the present, of former, earlier, or previous times. In other words, not belonging to today. In simpler terms, gone, i.e., see you later, alligator. And we may also find ourselves forward in thought, as in tomorrow. But a sweet little red-headed girl taught us something important about that one too. Tomorrow, tomorrow, I love ya. Tomorrow, you're only a day away. That is to love it. And yet it's just not quite here yet. We do love tomorrow and all the many tomorrows to come. Thank you, Annie. But they're oh so elusive because they're always a day away. It seems there's no potluck about this math equation scenario before us after all, Aging Rebels. It's quite simple, and I'll summarize it with this week's Aging Gratefully alphabet soup for the psyche. Quote, yesterday is ashes, tomorrow is green wood. Only today does the fire burn brightly. That's an Eskimo proverb. And our Aging Gratefully show dedication is befittingly to the word today. In adverb form, it means on or in the course of this present day. And in noun form, it means this present day. I'd like to welcome every one of you to Your Today. Today. It's extra special, by the way, because you're here to enjoy it, not to just be here, not to just carry on, but to be fully present. You out there know I am so passionate about the work that I do. I love sharing all the reasons that growing older is so amazing. But one of my favorite reasons is I love growing older because you get to answer present to the roll call of life. And that's my quote, by the way. How glorious that we do. So let's not find ourselves caught in the quicksand of yesterday unless we're enjoying, reminiscing, and celebrating amazing memories. But don't let yesterday be your trap for whittling away today. And as far as tomorrow, yes, let's plan bucket list living level kind of planning, some awesome tomorrows, while at the same time living life today. And let's be certain we're not living vicariously through our hopeful tomorrows, because I've been there, waiting until, putting life on hold for when, I'll do this when XYZ align. Let's be multitaskers, grand multitaskers, living today while planning tomorrow. Part of Aging Gratefully is living life by design. And my acronym for life is, by the way, living inspired fully every day. And when you turn now, because we want to do it now, backwards, it spells one. And that's kind of what happens when you do things now. You've won something. It's this achievement. Remember when we began the show and we smiled and I talked about the positive benefits that creates for us? Each time we smile, our brain releases these tiny molecules, these neuropeptides and other neurotransmitters, serotonin, endorphins, and dopamine start working their marvel. And the next thing we know, we feel so awesome. When we live now, we kind of have that same dynamic where we feel really good about the life we're living. I like to call it the Aging Gratefully effect, but you can actually feel full and high on life. Maybe easier said than done. We still can't help but look forward to the weekend, can we? I know this show drops Friday and we can't help but think, thank gosh, it's Friday, right? I know, I get it. But what if you could wake up every single day and literally claim your today? No more weekend warrior mentality. Toss the Friday feeling and claim that TGIF feeling today, but more like every single day. Can you see it, aging rebels? Is it possible? Can you even imagine? I can. That's why I've brought you this episode. I want it for you, and I want it for me. And I have just the expert to share her novel secrets so we can have it. And I'm so excited to welcome her to the show. Brianne Ligori is a certified coach, entrepreneur, and co-founder of the Leader Coach Intensive, a coach certification program specifically targeted to developing leaders of the future. She worked in the corporate world for many years, where she raised the bar in varying roles in sales, marketing, and training, choosing joy. Brianne bravely set aside her dazzling corporate career to empower others to live a life of purpose and joy through her joy coaching. She's also the author of this amazing book, Claiming Your TGI Today, a step-by-step guide for finding joy today instead of waiting for tomorrow. You can learn more about her work by visiting her at www.brianneligori.com, BrianneLigori.com. I'm so excited to welcome you, Brianne, to the Aging Gratefully show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Holly. Thank you so much for having me. I am truly grateful to be here with you.
Oh my goodness, we are so excited to have you on the show and talk about your work, this amazing book, beautiful book. The book is it's so incredible. It's a work of art, something for you to be so proud of, and something that every time it lands in a reader's hands, that it has the potential to really change the trajectory of where their life is headed. I truly believe that. It's a mood lifter upper from the moment they open the book.
Wow. Thank you for your kind words. It has been an amazing journey. It's been about really 3.5 years that it's taken for this book to kind of land in my hands. And it's been honestly the best experience ever. And the support of everybody around, I'm so thankful for that. So thank you for your kind words.
Oh, I just love the watercolors and everything that you've put into this book to make it so extra special and something that really allows people to really get engaged with it. So I really just love the heart and soul that you put into it as well. So yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It honestly has been a beautiful journey. And it really happened in partnership with many other women that I coach all across the world. And we sort of built this together as I discovered what are all the factors that are going to go into our joy every single day. And when you invited me on this podcast, I just thought it was so beautiful because there's such a nice connection between aging gratefully and claiming joy every day. I think they really just connect so nicely because finding joy is going to help us to be more grateful every single day. And I just think it's just the perfect match.
Oh, yes. When I saw your book, I was like, I have to have her on the show. Absolutely. Very many parallels. So let's talk about what inspired you to actually create this book.
Oh, so I think for me, where it kind of goes back to is I was sitting on a beach in Costa Rica with my family in 2018. And I remember sort of doing a bit of an inventory of my life and kind of everything kind of flashing before my eyes and sort of asking myself the question, is this all there is to life? I had this amazing corporate job. Like I could have had anything I wanted in that organization in terms of different roles and experiences. And they're truly amazing. I had the house and the car and the husband and the great kids, and all of the things from the outside looked perfect. But I still had this question inside that was sort of saying, there's more to life. And it's almost like this pull, right?
Mhm.
That's speaking to you. And through that, I started to realize that, our traditional definitions of success we're very much based on everything outside of ourselves. You know, what car you have, what house you have, what job you have, what people think of you, all of these pieces. And for me, I realized that if I wanted to find more joy, I needed to shift that definition of success. I needed to start believing that success was just simple moments of joy. It was knowing who I was, what I wanted, and it was going for those things. And when I had that shift, it was huge for me. And as I started and continued to work with the people I was coaching inside the organization, outside the organization, I realized that this was a really common thing for many people. Many people were chasing things outside of themselves to find that happiness. And through that was what inspired me to create the TGI Today formula, which is what really the book is sort of the foundation of the book, actually. Will guide you through this process to shift from looking for things outside yourself to find that joy, to realizing that it's in you. And like you said, it's that life by design. And this book helps you to create that life that you love.
So important. And it's easier to get on what I call the hamster wheel. And one day you don't own life, but life owns you. And it happens to so many people.
Yeah. It really, really does. It's like hamster wheel, treadmill, like all of these kind of analogies, right? Like they really stand out for me because I feel like I'm on that many days. Like it's a conscious choice every single day for us to look for small moments of joy, to ensure that we're not waiting for tomorrow to find it. Because otherwise it can feel like we just have so much pressure on our shoulders, and it's so exhausting. And it honestly feels like it's never going to end, right? This hamster wheel.
Yes.
So that was so key for me in just finding those small moments in today.
Yes. And I speak on the show a lot about establishing boundaries. And you were on that beach and you were thinking about life looks picture perfect from the outside, and trying to do this assessment and realizing that new boundaries needed to be put in place, I guess.
Absolutely. And for me, it was about exercising my power of choice to create that life that I love. But first I needed to figure out what the heck is that?
Oh, so true. It's so hard for so many people, right?
Yeah, right.
Because we don't know. Sometimes you can't fix what you can't identify.
Yes. And it all comes back to knowing your truth. It's
but your book,
right?
book is the breadcrumb trail to helping people do that. I mean, it was truly amazing. As I was reading this beautiful book, I was like, oh my goodness, this is like insight, because each page allows people to be like, oh my goodness, light bulb, ding, 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 you know.
Thank you for that. Yes. And the way I designed it is that it's sort of meant to be done in bite-sized chunks, because we are so busy in our lives. And I often feel very overwhelmed by the stack of self-help books on my shelf and on my case. And because my life is so busy, and many of ours are, I don't have hours and hours and hours to read. So this book is small little exercises that you can do to inch by inch move towards that joy, because all of those little steps are going to add up to something big.
I didn't take this as a self-help book. I took this as a self-serve book.
Oh, beautiful.
So
I love it.
That was my take on it. And I took this as a service to oneself. And it was really something that was very, very different. So I really thought it was kind of a unicorn book in that respect.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I love that. I love that. I'm going to steal that, Holly. Thank you.
Yeah. I took it that way. So let's talk about, you talk a lot about purpose, and purpose is so important because it is vital in our life trajectory. And what does living in purpose mean to you? And why is this so important that it was weaved throughout the book? And if somebody's lost it, I'm going to let you continue on through that. What would you suggest for them to find it? And I know that's in the book too, but some people out there are like a little bit, especially with the things going on in the world. There's a lot going on in the world right now. People are kind of covered up with anxiety and stress, and it's throwing people's compass off a little bit.
Yeah, no, I really agree. I mean, there's so much going on in the world, a lot of difficult stuff, right? And apart from, donating and doing things in terms of serving those people that need support, the only thing we can really control is ourselves, and learning about ourselves and following what's important to us. And purpose is one of the key elements of the TGI Today formula. And sometimes when we say the word purpose, people's kind of shoulders start to go up and they start to get tense, and they think, gosh, the word's a bit scary, right? It's like, I got to find my purpose. It can be a bit intimidating for people. And I found that with myself as well. But what I've learned through this process is that purpose does not need to be some huge thing. It doesn't need to be summiting a mountain. It doesn't need to be quitting your job and starting a charity or any of these huge things. It can literally be found in small moments of doing things that you love, because what you love, it really matters, and spending time with the people that you love. And so instead of thinking of purpose as this big grand thing where we're going to get there someday, you can find purpose today. It is all around you. The other thing that I like to share about purpose is that it is evolving at all times. So it's going to continue to reshape and evolve as you grow, as you change through your life. So whatever you feel, your purpose is today, don't feel like it has to be that forever, like you've claimed it and that's it, and story done. It can continue. So if you asked me 5 years ago, would you write a book? The answer would be, heck no. Like, it wasn't even on my radar. But if you follow these small signs and these small clues, I refer to them as breadcrumbs in the book, you'll start to have other opportunities open up and unfold. And then before you know it, you're doing things that you never really even imagined for yourself, all because you followed those moments of joy and what you loved.
Yes, so important. The doors that purpose opens, and how it just starts like swinging open new doors that you never saw coming. And you just have to start being open to the possibilities that are just right there. And so I'm so glad that you brought that up, because we don't know what's 5 years down the road. You just have to, just one little crumb at a time. And the next thing you know, it's life reawakened. So just so interesting how the path just starts leading to exciting and adventurous roads. On the other side of break, I was hoping that we could kind of work our way through some of these really interesting steps, people, and some other things that you have. Would you be willing to do that?
Absolutely. I would love to.
Wonderful. Don't go anywhere, because this fantastic conversation will continue. Today, we're so grateful to be with Brianne Ligori, talking all things living in the now, and her book, Claiming Your TGI Today. You can learn more about her by visiting her at brianneligori.com. That's BrianneLigori.com. By the way, I know you out there love our show's theme song. That is, for new listeners, Jim Beloff's Aging Gratefully. And it's in his album, Dreams I Left in Pockets. I invite you to get that entire album and show Jim some Aging Gratefully love. You can get that on iTunes, Amazon Music, or wherever you enjoy streaming your music. And also give him a visit at fleamarketmusic.com. He has books and DVDs and so much more, and was on the show in December. You love that episode. We talked about his new book, Utopia. And you can also get his book on his website as well, his new book, Utopia. So awesome. Special thanks to you out there, Aging Rebels, tuning in from all over the world. So many fantastic places. We've charted just in so many places internationally. I have to thank you so much, our international listeners. We broadcast from the United States, but it just amazes me to see so many different countries that put us on the charts through Apple Podcasts. And we just really appreciate that. And we appreciate you having us awarded a top show to listen to in the category of aging 4 years in a row. We so value that. And we cherish how you share this show with your friends and family. And we are so grateful for you. We haven't told you since our last episode that you rock and you role model, and that we're truly grateful for each of you. And it's true. It is my truth. And you do. I'm your host, gerontologist Holly Kelly, and we'll be right back.
Hi, my name's Brendan Watt, and I am author of a book called Relationship. Are you sure you want one? This is definitely a different look on relationship. I have just been on the Aging Gratefully show with Holly Kelly, and oh my God, what a gift, what a show. I'm grateful, and hey, if you could make some different choices today in your life, what would that be like?
Hi, it's Heidi with Ascend Therapy Services, where we help you to overcome barriers and rise to new heights. I have had the pleasure of being on this incredible show, Aging Gratefully with Holly Kelly, and now I have the pleasure of bringing you today's safety tip. As spring is here and we spend more time in our gardens or doing other yard work, remember to avoid prolonged bending at all costs. If possible, a raised garden bed to waist height is great to use while standing. For lower garden beds, find a safe place to sit or kneel if you can to avoid bending of the back, which could lead to back strain or increased risk for a fall. You can find more safety tips or other healthy aging resources on my website. Go to weagewithpurpose.com/links, and you will find a variety of handouts and resources on increasing safety, maximizing independence, and living your purpose. Before I go, I want to thank Holly Kelly again for the wonderful information and inspiration she provides to so many across the globe and the beautiful community she has created with her show.
Sunrises and Sunsets. Final Affairs Forged with Flair, Finesse, and Functionality is a delightful book for every adult of any age and any stage. This multi-award-winning book, written by gerontologist Holly Kelly, is a soul-soothing journey and novel approach to completing your personal affairs and advanced care planning. Readers are calling it transformative, life-changing, and fun. Prepare lovingly, plan thoughtfully, live dynamically. Available on Amazon and most bookstores. Author autographed copies are available at sunrisesandsunsetsbook.com, where you can subscribe, register for a workshop, and more.
Hi, I'm Ashlyn Weiss, a gerontologist from Ball Ground, Georgia, and I love listening to the Aging Gratefully show every Friday with gerontologist Holly Kelly.
Thank you so much, best listeners in the world and best guests. Welcome back to Aging Gratefully. I'm your host, gerontologist Holly Kelly, here today with Brianne Ligori, who promotes living life now with passion and joy, like every day is FriYAY. And, you know, it's true, because we all know there's no day of the week called someday. So we don't want to be waiting for someday. We want to embrace today. So I know you, my awesome aging rebels, are all about this conversation. I'm loving it. And I know you are too. By the way, I know that you are taking in these episodes. We have more than 225 episodes out there. You're downloading them. You know that we are now on Audible, Amazon Music. You can ask Alexa for the podcast. So we are everywhere that you want us to be. I can't imagine that we're not where you want us to be. Please send me a message if you have found that place, and we'll make it happen. And we just also are on your smartphones, your smart devices, your smart TVs. And we just appreciate all the different ways that you are listening on the go, and however and wherever you want us to. And this week's listener appreciation shout out is to the Apple listener who left 5 stars and wrote, I get why Aging Gratefully is such a hit. It's engaging, informative, and inspiring. The conversations that Holly has with her guests are entertaining and chock full of great info. You definitely feel uplifted after a listen. Thank you so much. And in honor of this wonderful listener who left this, we'll do an Aging Gratefully promotion at hollykelly.com. The promo code will be Aging Gratefully, and you get $10 off to Sunrises and Sunsets book through July 31st, so that you can do your final affairs planning. So $10 off a set of 2 of those Sunrises and Sunsets Final Affairs Forged with Flair, Finesse, and Functionality. Go to hollykelly.com for that promotion. So we appreciate you and want you to know that. Also, you know what else we appreciate? Our guest today. And I know that you do too. I want you to visit her at www.brianneligori.com, where you can learn more about her life-enhancing work in so many areas. Her book, of course, is Claiming Your TGI Today, a step-by-step guide to finding joy today instead of waiting for tomorrow. Perfect title. And she has coaching. Plus, she's co-founded Leadership Coach Intensive, a coach certification program specifically targeted to developing leaders of the future. She's poised to launch a comprehensive learning program to accompany TGI Today, the book, Claiming Your TGI Today, and more. And so definitely want you to check out our website at brianneligori.com. So before commercial break, we were talking about the next step, I guess you call it a step, people, why it's so important. And it is important because we can get around one person and they can make us feel so good. They have this magnetic allure to them. And then we can get around somebody else and it feels like such a Debbie Downer. And the next thing we're like, gosh, I feel like, it's just this negative pull. So let's talk about why it's important to surround ourselves with people that do lift us up.
Yeah, so this is another critical piece of the TGI Today formula is people. And so if we want to live in our joyful life, we need to make sure we're surrounding ourselves with people that are lifting us up, propelling us towards our goals, helping us to live that more joyous life. And I was actually reading a quote by Oprah last week, and she talked about only surrounding yourself with people that take you higher. And this really, really resonated with me. It makes such a difference to our days. I definitely can feel people's energy when you walk into a room. And if someone isn't jiving with me, they can pull me down pretty fast.
Mhm.
And I was finding that for many of the people that I was coaching as well. So in this book, we take a dive into all of the different styles of people that surround us and come in and out of our lives. And we look at opportunity to design our own, a method of success here, to look at who do we want to surround ourselves with to live our best life. And it may change depending on what we have going on through our lives, but we have that power of choice to choose. If somebody's dragging us down, we can make a different choice.
So important. And I think that people forget that the power of choice is theirs to actually enact. And sometimes we feel like that we just have to oblige people. And I think that people need to realize that you do have that authority.
You sure do.
Mm-hmm. And pace, how can people achieve their optimal pace in life?
This can be a tough one. And I find the feedback I'm getting is a lot of people really resonate with this particular chapter because life is moving really, really fast. Like we talked about earlier, that hamster wheel, right? Or that treadmill. Like we feel like we're go, 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 trying to be everything to everybody and do everything and achieve more and all of these pieces. And it can be really exhausting. It can almost feel like we're swimming upstream. So in my book, I talk about the river. So when we're doing things that are kind of, with our flow, we feel good about them, we're loving what we're doing, we feel like we're flowing with the river. When we're doing things in our day that are dragging us down and aren't aligned with who we are, we can feel like we're swimming upstream. So the important piece here, and how do we get to this more place of flow, is time for self-reflection. So if we don't know who we are, what we want, how can we make choices of how we spend our time that is aligned with that? So I encourage people through the book to really take a deep dive and look into this. Discover who you are. Discover what really, really matters to you, and do a bit of an inventory on how you're spending your time. Does that line up with who you are and what you want? Because often if our pace feels a little bit out of control, one of the factors is that some of the things that we're doing in our day isn't really connected to who we are at a core. So we have, again, the opportunity to choose to say, I want to spend more time doing those things that are flowing and that are aligned with who I am.
Yes, and you continue to talk about the power of choice. And I think this is so important because I believe that people get overcome by a routine and they kind of get in this cattle chute and forget that you talk about how choice brings us to our true happiness. But I think people get in a habit and forget about this whole world of choice. Can you talk about that?
Yes, I do agree. And I definitely have those days where I get in my routine and it's almost like something is just easy, right? Like the
Mhm.
habit is, and it might not feel like it's worth the effort to change.
Mhm.
Sometimes some of our choices are made out of fear. We're afraid of making a new choice. Sometimes our choices are connected with ego. Maybe we're worried about what others might think if we make a different choice.
Mhm.
So there's some underlying factors that we need to take a look at and understand so that it can help us understand why we're making the choices that we're making. And so it can inform us to make a better choice.
It's
So
true. And sometimes we're
yeah,
people pleasers.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. It's
Mhm.
like those should do's, right? So like
Yes.
another thing I encourage people to do is look at your to-do list and do an inventory at how many of those things are should do's.
Mhm.
And if you can identify a couple of those, make a different choice, choose to do something different. If you feel like you're doing that because you should do it to please someone else, then probably you shouldn't be doing that.
Yes. So you have advice for maintaining a TGI today mindset in a TGIF world. Talk about swimming upstream.
Yeah.
So how would you do that? Because sometimes you feel like you're the odd man out.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's so much pressure in society and the media and just really our upbringing, right? To achieve more, to do more, to collect things and all of these pieces.
Mhm.
So it can be really tough. It can be really tough to go against the grain.
Mhm.
But the key that I see, and I talked a bit about this earlier, is redefining your definition of success, to define what success looks like for you. And it might be different for everybody. The old traditional ways of looking at success and achievement and accomplishment, all those pieces, that might not fit for you. So it's about kind of taking a deeper look for yourself. What does success mean for you? Maybe it's just simple things, simply finding those moments of happiness and joy, not worrying so much about those should do's on the list, being with the people you love, really understanding who you are. All of those things can help you, but you're the one that needs to define your definition of success. So I would recommend giving it a bit of an overhaul in terms of the previous definition and looking at creating your own new definition.
I find it insightful that you had this epiphany vision on a beach in Costa Rica.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So you needed to get away to be able to have your mind be able to actually clear the cache and be able to see it. You needed distance.
yeah,
And
yeah.
we get so bombarded that sometimes when you're too close to something or you're in it, you can't see it from the inside out. So you had to get away to be able to see it.
Mhm.
I
I
feel like
love that.
I feel like that happens to us. We're in it. We can't see it from the inside out. So I feel like for listeners, sometimes they need to go out and have a picnic away from their environment, lay on the blanket and just look at the sky and do what you did.
100%. I think that's the key to all of this, right? Is that time to quiet the mind. Our lives are so busy and so noisy sometimes that we can't hear what is truly in us, because the answers are in us. They're there. They're always with us. It's just when we're so busy, sometimes we can't hear them. So finding those small moments of self-reflection, like you said, it could be on a blanket, it could be in nature, it could be on a vacation, but it doesn't have to be. It can even be in maybe 5 minutes of journaling, just anything that's going to quiet your mind from the hamster wheel so that you can hear your true self speak to you.
Yes, because had you not had that vacation, I'm not sure that you could have stopped the wheel.
Exactly. Who knows where I'd be?
Right. And so I think it's so important that we take these little moments and steal them from the world that is asking so much of us, and give ourselves the gift of that so that we can take that time and, do that, Control Alt Delete on life and do that for ourselves so that we can actually see what's going on and take that assessment and say, whoa, 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 and be able to do this TGI today on ourselves and be able to do that. Now, there's some things I liked about your book that were very interesting to me, and I feel it's so important that we should put the spotlight on it because these shows go so quickly. So I want you to talk about, you included in the book, the importance of vision. We align in our work on this, in the work that I do. You included it in your book. So I want you to talk about the importance of vision, why it matters so much.
Yeah, I mean, as a certified coach, I love vision. It's
Yes.
just
So
like absolutely so important to really get a picture of where you want to go. Because if you don't know where you want to go, how can you identify the steps to get there? And so I do this in many different ways with many of my coaching clients. One of the ways I do this for myself is vision boarding. And I've been doing this with my children lately, and they're just 10 years old. I really think it's so important that we're teaching people this early in life, because it wasn't something that I learned until just recently. And it's just opened up so many opportunities. So spending time asking yourself key questions about what would matter to you, what does matter, what's meaningful, what do you want, kind of clearing out the clutter, and then getting it up on paper. And sometimes you may want to talk this out with a friend, because you might not be able to see past all the noise and the busyness. So you may connect with one of the people that might help you shift perspective or see a new way of looking at things. But vision is so key and so critical. Of course, I do it in my business planning with my 2 businesses, but I also do it, for my personal life as well, in terms of my joy. What do I want my year to look like? What are those moments of joy that I'm going to find? And once you put it out there to the world and to the universe, trust that all of the steps that need to happen are all of a sudden going to start unfolding as you start to follow each step.
Yes, so important. And vision is so insightful and enlightening, and it's inspiring.
It really is.
Yes. I want you to share with listeners the importance of setting intentions that's in your book. I love this too. So talk on that, if you would, please.
Yes, a daily practice for me, setting intention before really everything that I do. How do I want to show up? So even before we had this conversation today, Holly, I was saying, okay, so, what's my intention for this conversation? And for me, it's just to truly be present and be with you and have a beautiful conversation. I do this before every business meeting, every coaching conversation, even interactions with my children, or maybe there's a difficult situation happening that I have to deal with, or a difficult conversation that I have to have. For me, just taking a moment and breathing and just setting that intention for how I want to show up in that situation can make a huge difference in terms of me just keeping kind of anxiety at bay and being, really, really present with the people that I need to be with.
So important. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And I loved this in your book. And I talked to listeners 200 and I don't know if we're at 225 or 250, but I would say more than 25% of the shows, it would be a guess, I have talked about this important ritual, that it not be left to the wayside, that this be incorporated because it is so, so important. And I was so excited when I saw this in your book. You talk and focus on the importance of celebrating. And I feel like we get all grown up and that we forget this important tradition. Our entire youth is focused around celebrating, and this is coming up and that is coming up, and we celebrate birthdays and we have surprises and everything's just big festivities. And then we get all grown up and these things aren't often spotlighted anymore. And I always tell listeners to never leave behind your inner child. I was so excited to see how you really emphasized the importance of celebrating big and little things.
Yeah, this is something I've actively been working on for myself because I can find I get really hung up on the end goal. So it's great to have that vision and where I want to go and knowing that. But sometimes I get so laser focused on that that I forget about all of the things that are happening along the way. And so for me, it was just really critical to put this in the book because the work that you're doing in this book really, really matters. And taking the time to celebrate it is important because it's going to just reinforce those positive habits. Right now, I'm looking at my wall here. I've just created a celebration wall because, of course, as you know, I just launched a book and I can get hung up on that. Okay, so how many copies do I need to sell and how many, keynotes do I need to do and all of this stuff? But for me, that can be a bit demotivating if I'm just looking at the bigger picture. So I've been practicing writing every single day all of the small things that have happened. So this conversation, every review that I get, every kind comment, every book sale, because all of those little things add up to big moments. And it has really made a huge difference for me. And I couldn't say enough about the benefits of celebrating big and small.
Yes, so important. And I think that sometimes we all do that. We all forget to celebrate our milestones each day because we're looking again to tomorrow. We're thinking about yesterday's pitfalls and we forget about the great things that are happening right now. Yeah. And so I'm so glad that you shared that. That's fantastic. And I'm so glad that you emphasize and remind us to not stumble right over that because it should be celebrated. So I was so excited about that. I saved this question towards the near end because I love it so much. So tell us about the dragonfly concept.
Yes. So in the book, in the people chapter, actually, I talk about the significance of dragonflies. So if we think about dragonflies, they're really a magical creature. There's so much beauty to them. They come in all different shapes and sizes and colors and all with different strengths. And I see a really strong connection between that and all of the amazing people that come and go throughout our lifetime. And in the book, you'll see all of the different dragonfly styles that represent different people in our lives. So there's the champion, there's the person that always has our back, they're always going to cheerlead and be behind us. There's the listener, so someone that's just going to listen empathetically, compassionately. And we have the inspirer, so people that kind of inspire us to connect with our purpose and try new and creative things. We may have some perspective shifters in our lives that help us to see, look at things in different ways. And then there might even be some critics. Sometimes this one gets a bad rep, but often these people might be teachers in disguise that are here to teach us valuable lessons. So those are sort of all of the different styles of people that might come and go through our lives. And it's up to us to connect with the ones that we need at that time in our life. because it might change as things change. So we can really call these different styles into our lives based on what we need. And it may mean, meeting some new friends if you don't have the ones that you need currently, or it could be asking for something different from the people that you currently have in your life. So for example, for me in the book writing journey, I definitely needed champions and I had a ton of them, but it also needed some perspective shifters to really look at my work and give me their unique opinion on how things could get even better. So that's just one example, but you again can really design and create based on what's important for you and exercise your power of choice to say, this is what I need in my life right now from you.
So interesting, because dragonflies and this whole concept that you're sharing, I think about the dragonflies have been around 300 million years. And you're leaning on dragonflies for so much wisdom in this, in this scenario, right? And dragonflies live dual lives, I mean,
So beautiful.
they live in the water and they, fly and live on the land. So, I mean, that's a perfect concept for how this works into that. And I did love how that was woven so beautifully into the book. As far as aging gratefully goes and ties into TGI today, what advice or words of wisdom do you have for our listeners with regard to that?
I think the one that's coming up for me, Holly, is around not doing is sometimes equally as valuable as doing. And so we talked a lot in our conversation about self-reflection, really understanding who we are so we can make choices of how we spend our time and the people that we engage with. And so I would really encourage everybody to take that time away on a vacation or on that blanket or on that walk or journaling, whatever that might be, to connect with who you are so that when you spend time doing things, they can be connected with that.
Yeah, so important. And before I ask you our final question, is there anything that I've overlooked that you feel like you really want to share that we haven't talked about today that definitely needs to be left with listeners?
No, you know what? I think you've done such a beautiful job leading this conversation, and thank you.
You're so welcome. And I just hope that listeners will get this book, Claiming Your TGI Today, a step-by-step guide for finding your joy today instead of waiting for tomorrow. I can attest that each page is something special and it uncovers, I think, the new path that you want to take into self-discovery. And if anything, I think it's a great exercise to make sure that you are going in the direction that you want to go into. But I certainly think that anybody that would work the book would learn new things. And I think it's just a wonderful activity of self-serve, self-serving yourself. So I just want to tell you how much we've enjoyed being with you today. This book is a work of art. It's a beautiful book, but I also think that it's something that will help so many people. So congratulations on that. And we're just so happy to have had this time for you. And of course, we can't have it end without knowing how you age gratefully.
That's such a great question. I think there, for me, it's a conscious choice every single day to try and choose more moments of joy. And for me, one of the big things that I've been working on is what I call following the pull. So if I have this kind of voice or deep inner knowing inside that something is for me, or I need to try something new or connect with a particular person, I follow that because that deep inner knowing has a lot of wisdom and it leads me to more joy every single day just by simply following that pull that is in your belly that you get excited about and not turning it down.
That's great. And it's wonderful advice for all of us to kind of take note to that intuition that a lot of times we do system override on. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I love that. And we so appreciate the work that you're doing. We wish you the greatest success and continued moving forward.
Thank you so much, Holly.
You're very welcome. You've been listening to Aging Gratefully, and I'm your host, gerontologist Holly Kelly. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you've enjoyed our message, I invite you to subscribe and share it with others. May you remember to never act your age and that age is just a number. And may you enjoy and embrace the coming week in the spirit of gratitude. Until we meet again, here's to living your best life now.
I used to think time was my enemy. My future wasn't looking good. So worried about the things I couldn't see. I couldn't see the things I could. I was aging fearfully, worrying my life away, when all along I should have been thankful for every day. Finally made a friend of time. Now you could say that I'm aging gratefully. Aging gratefully.